The concept of Germany as a distinct region began with Julius Caesar's mention of Germania in the 1st century BC. The Germanic tribes' victory in the Battle of the Teutoburg Forest, AD 9, prevented Roman annexation, though Roman provinces were established along the Rhine. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, the Franks dominated the region, eventually splitting into East Francia in 843. In 962, Otto I became the first Holy Roman Emperor, marking the beginning of medieval German states. During the High Middle Ages, the Hanseatic League and the Teutonic Order played key roles in the region's development. By the late Middle Ages, local rulers gained power at the expense of the emperors. Martin Luther's Protestant Reformation in 1517 divided Germany along religious lines, leading to the destructive 30 Years' War, 1618 to 1648. After Napoleon's defeat, the Holy Roman Empire dissolved in 1806, leading to the formation of the German Confederation, which was later unified under Prussia's leadership in 1871. By 1900, Germany had become a dominant European power, but its expansionist ambitions led to World War I, where it was defeated, and the German Empire was replaced by the unstable Weimar Republic. In 1933, Adolf Hitler's rise to power resulted in Nazi Germany, which led to World War II and the Holocaust, where 17 million people, including 6 million Jews, were killed. Germany collapsed in 1945, leading to its division during the Cold War into capitalist West Germany and communist East Germany. In 1990, following the fall of the Berlin Wall and the collapse of the Soviet Union, East and West Germany reunified. Germany became a leading economic power in Europe and a key player in the European Union, particularly during the Eurozone crisis and the 2015 migrant crisis. In response to Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine, Germany strengthened its military stance. Pre-human apes, such as Danuvius gugemosi, lived in Germany over 11 million years ago and may have been some of the first apes to walk on two legs. Evidence of early humans in Germany includes the discovery of a Homo heidelbergensis mandible dating back 600,000 years and stone tools from 1.33 million years ago. The Schöningen site in Lower Saxony revealed 380,000-year-old wooden javelins, and one of the oldest buildings and artworks was found in Bilsingsleben. The first fossils of Homo neanderthalensis, Neanderthals, were discovered in 1856. Early traces of Homo sapiens were found in Ranis, with the oldest human art and tools, including mammoth ivory sculptures and flutes, dating back 41,000 to 40,000 years. These artifacts are attributed to the Aurignacian culture. During the Neolithic period, early farmers migrated into Europe, with the linear pottery culture being prominent in central Germany around 5500 BC. The funnel beaker culture, 3400 BC, marks the earliest use of wheels and wagons. The Bronze Age saw the rise of the corded ware culture, 2923-50 BC, and later the Urnfield culture, 1300-750 BC, which was succeeded by the Hallstatt culture, 12th-8th centuries BC. The Celts, associated with the Hallstatt and La Tène cultures, developed important cultural centers like Huneberg. From around 700 BC, Germanic tribes began expanding into areas previously inhabited by the Celts, leading to the eventual displacement of Celtic groups in Central Europe. The ethnogenesis of the Germanic tribes is debated, but many scholars, such as Averell Cameron, suggest it began during the Nordic Bronze Age or at least by the pre-Roman Iron Age, Gestorf culture. Germanic tribes from southern Scandinavia and northern Germany began expanding by the 1st century BC, coming into contact with Celtic, Iranian, Baltic, and Slavic cultures. The early history of the Germanic tribes is poorly documented, but Roman sources, linguistic studies, and archaeological findings provide insights. In the mid-1st century BC, Julius Caesar campaigned along the Rhine, encountering Germanic tribes. By 60 BC, the Suebi tribe, under Ariovistus, had conquered lands in Gaul, but Caesar forced their retreat. The Roman Empire later attempted to extend its influence into Germania, establishing forts and commercial centers along the Rhine and Danube. However, Germanic tribes retained their independence, and in 9 AD, a coalition of tribes under Arminius defeated the Romans at the Battle of the Teutoburg Forest. As a result, Rome abandoned further expansion into Germania and established the Rhine-Danube frontier. During the migration period, 3rd–5th centuries AD, Germanic tribes, including the Alemanni, Franks, Saxons, and others, began migrating beyond the Roman frontier, contributing to the decline of the Western Roman Empire. The Huns' invasion in the 4th century further accelerated this migration. By 406, tribes like the Vandals, Alans, and Suebi crossed the Rhine into the Roman Empire. The traditional territories of Germanic tribes were known as stem duchies, e.g., Bavaria, Saxony, Swabia. These duchies persisted in the Holy Roman Empire, although they became less significant under the Hohenstaufen dynasty, which abolished them in 1180 in favor of smaller territorial duchies. During this period, border counties or marches, e.g., Lusatia, Brandenburg, and Austria, were established to defend the empire's eastern and northern borders. The Western Roman Empire fell in 476 AD with the deposition of Romulus Augustus by the Germanic leader Odoacer, marking the beginning of the Germanic kingdoms. The Franks, emerging as a tribal confederacy in the region later known as Austrasia, began expanding into former Roman territories, including Gaul. Clovis I, a Merovingian king, united the Frankish tribes by 500 and converted to Roman Catholicism, distinguishing himself from other Germanic rulers. His descendants expanded the Frankish Empire by conquering various Germanic tribes and territories. In the 8th century, the Franks, led by Charles Martel and his son Carloman, began military campaigns against the Saxons and other rivals. Charles Martel's victory at the Battle of Tours in 732 solidified Frankish power. His successor, Pepin the Short, became the first Carolingian king in 751, securing the Papal States for the Church. Charlemagne, Pepin's son, expanded the Frankish kingdom, defeated rivals like the Saxons, and was crowned Holy Roman Emperor in 800. After Charlemagne's death, the empire was divided by the Treaty of Verdun, 843, and East Francia, which included the German stem duchies, emerged. The Ottonian dynasty began with Otto I in 936, who established the Holy Roman Empire and strengthened royal control over the church and nobility. Otto's victory over the Magyars and control over the papacy set the stage for future imperial influence. The Salian dynasty followed, with conflicts like the investiture controversy between the emperor and the pope over ecclesiastical appointments. The Holy Roman Empire, also known as the Sacrum Imperium, continued to evolve through the Middle Ages, facing both internal and external challenges. The Hanseatic League, a commercial alliance of northern European towns, played a significant role in maritime trade from the 12th to 15th centuries. It secured trade routes and privileges for its cities, but eventually declined due to political changes, economic crises, and competition in global trade. The Ostsiedlung * was a gradual migration and settlement process of ethnic Germans into Slavic and Baltic regions east of the Sala and Elbe rivers, such as Poland, Silesia, Bohemia, and parts of Hungary and Romania, during the High Middle Ages, 11th–14th centuries. Initial military campaigns aimed at subjugating local tribes but yielded unstable territorial control. Over time, borderlands were fortified and incorporated into the Holy Roman Empire, though no formal policy of organized settlement existed. German settlers, often invited by Slavic leaders, introduced their laws and customs, creating culturally mixed communities. Notable enclaves included cities like Hermannstadt, founded by Transylvanian Saxons in modern Romania. The Teutonic Knights' Prussian Crusade, 1230, aimed to Christianize the Baltic Prussians but led to territorial conquest and the establishment of a monastic state that expanded over 150 years. Conflicts with neighboring Poland, Lithuania, and Novgorod eventually led to the order's decline by the 15th century, transitioning into the secular Duchy of Prussia in 1525. The Holy Roman Empire experienced periods of internal conflict and power struggles, notably the investiture controversy and rivalry between the Welfs and Hohenstaufen factions. Frederick I, Barbarossa, reached compromises, and the empire prospered culturally under his rule. Frederick II's attempts to consolidate power led to conflicts with the papacy and decentralization. The Golden Bull of 1356 codified the election process of emperors by 7 electors, reducing papal influence. The Black Death, 1347–1351, decimated the population, causing social upheaval and violence against minority groups, prompting Jewish migrations to Eastern Europe. Towns flourished, becoming centers of trade and governance. Prominent cities like Cologne gained independence and were governed by merchant elites, while social hierarchies were maintained with limited rights for non-citizens. Cologne's strategic location on the Rhine contributed to its economic growth and the construction of the renowned Cologne Cathedral. Cultural advancements included the theological and scientific writings of Hildegard von Bingen, the lyric poetry of Minnesänger like Walter von der Vogelweide, and the revolutionary printing press invented by Johannes Gutenberg around 1439. This innovation facilitated the spread of the Reformation and scientific ideas. Albrecht Dürer emerged as a leading figure of the Northern Renaissance, renowned for his art and theoretical works. The early modern European society emerged after the turmoil of the 14th century, marked by the Great Plague, the Church's schism, and prolonged wars that weakened religious and political loyalties. The rise of cities and a new burgher class eroded feudal structures. Wealthy merchant families in South Germany, like the Fuggers and Welsers, accumulated significant financial power, influencing politics. The money-based economy caused social tensions, particularly among knights and peasants. From 1438, the Habsburgs dominated the Holy Roman Emperor role until 1806, except for brief periods. Innovations such as the postal system and Gutenberg's printing press sparked a communication revolution that supported reformers like Luther and weakened censorship. Military reforms under Maximilian I led to a shift in military power and weakened the knightly class. Reforms established courts, formalized Roman law, and strengthened the imperial diet as the main political body, although tax system issues hindered a unified political structure. The Protestant Reformation began in 1517 with Martin Luther's 95 Theses, criticizing church corruption. His ideas gained traction thanks to the printing press and Emperor Charles V's wars, eventually establishing a separate Lutheran church. The Peasants' War, 1524–1525, reflected economic and religious discontent but was crushed by feudal lords. The Catholic Counter-Reformation, led by the Jesuits, aimed to counter Protestantism but failed to fully reintegrate Lutheran regions. The 30 Years' War, 1618–1648, rooted in religious and political disputes, devastated the Holy Roman Empire. Triggered by Bohemian nobles' revolt and expanded by Danish, Swedish, and French intervention, it became a struggle between the Bourbon and Habsburg houses for dominance. The war caused immense destruction, with widespread pillaging, famine, disease, and significant population loss. It ended with the Peace of Westphalia, which increased state autonomy and reduced the emperor's power, reshaping Europe's political landscape and concluding major religious conflicts. By the mid-16th century, Germany's population reached around 20 million, largely composed of peasant farmers. The Protestant Reformation, led by Martin Luther, played a key role in boosting literacy and spreading printed works, including Luther's Bible translation, which helped shape modern German and promote widespread literacy. Reformation ideas were further popularized through Luther's catechisms and illustrated works by Lucas Cranach the Elder. German polymaths, including Johannes Kepler and Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, made significant contributions to various fields, while German cartography and celestial maps advanced. Germany also engaged in colonial ventures, such as Klein Venedig in Venezuela, though some projects, like Hannoisch Indies, failed due to financial and political challenges. Frederick William, the Great Elector, expanded Brandenburg Prussia and restructured his realm, while his successor, Frederick William I, centralized the state and built a strong army. By 1800, Germany's population grew to 24 million, aided by agricultural advances. Louis XIV of France expanded French territory but faced resistance, including from the Grand Alliance and Austria, which won the Great Turkish War. Frederick II of Prussia and Empress Maria Theresa of Austria played significant roles in European politics, with Prussia expanding through the partitions of Poland. The Enlightenment brought cultural growth, with philosophers like Kant and artists like Goethe contributing to intellectual advancements. Enlightened absolutism led to reforms that influenced Germany's modernization and nationalism. Germany's response to the French Revolution was mixed. While intellectuals celebrated it, royal courts condemned it. The French Revolutionary and Napoleonic Wars, 1792–1815, drastically impacted Germany, with France modernizing German territories but provoking resistance. Napoleon's defeat in 1813, after Prussia joined the Sixth Coalition, led to his surrender and the dissolution of the Holy Roman Empire, with Prussia gaining territory at the Congress of Vienna. In 1815, Europe was reeling from the French Revolutionary and Napoleonic Wars. The Congress of Vienna established a German confederation of 39 states for mutual defense, but this alliance lacked cohesion and hindered German nationalism. Reforms diminished the influence of the nobility, and by 1871, Prussian elites dominated governance. The population of the German Confederation, excluding Austria, surged by 60% from 1815 to 1865, with significant urbanization and demographic changes marked by industrial growth and emigration. Germany's industrialization accelerated post-1850, with the development of railroads driving economic growth and technological advancements. The Zollverein, customs union, facilitated trade, aiding the textile and steel industries. Cities expanded rapidly, exemplified by Berlin's growth from 172,000 in 1800 to 826,000 by 1870. Culturally, 19th-century Germany was shaped by Romanticism, influenced by Goethe, Beethoven, and the Grimm brothers. Intellectual figures like Hegel and Nietzsche contributed to philosophical discourse, while Humboldt and Gauss led in science. The Protestant Church underwent unification efforts under Prussian royal control, sparking resistance among Old Lutherans, some of whom emigrated. Catholic practices also saw revival, with Rome gaining influence over local clergy. Chancellor Otto von Bismarck shaped the political trajectory of the German Empire until 1890, focusing on fostering European alliances to isolate France and consolidating Germany's influence. Domestically, Bismarck aimed to suppress socialism and limit the Catholic Church's influence through the Kulturkampf. This included anti-socialist laws alongside social reforms such as universal health care and pensions. These measures faced significant resistance from Catholics, who organized opposition through the Centre Party. Bismarck's domestic strategy included both suppression and social welfare programs to appease the working class and retain loyalty to the state, curbing emigration to higher-wage countries like the US. His social policies laid the groundwork for the modern welfare state. Economically, Germany's industrial power grew to match Britain's by 1900. The political landscape shifted dramatically with the ascension of Kaiser Wilhelm II in 1888. He dismissed Bismarck in 1890, favoring a more aggressive foreign policy focused on colonial expansion and a naval arms race with Britain. Wilhelm's unilateral and militaristic policies, including strained alliances limited to Austro-Hungary, heightened tensions that set the stage for World War I. The unification of Germany was marked by the 1871 proclamation of the German Empire in the Hall of Mirrors at Versailles following the Franco-Prussian War, which ended with France's defeat and the cession of Alsace-Lorraine. This victory, however, deepened Franco-German animosity. The new federal empire included 25 diverse states with internal divisions. Integration was challenging, particularly for regions influenced by prior French rule. The aristocracy retained significant control over military and civil services, maintaining social dominance. Bismarck's Kulturkampf sought to secularize education and curtail clerical influence but faced strong Catholic opposition. His anti-Catholic laws, including the pulpit law, led to widespread penalties for defiance. This conflict eventually subsided after 1879 when Bismarck shifted focus, negotiating peace with Pope Leo XIII. The Centre Party's gains reflected its resilience. Historians debate Bismarck's legacy, viewing him either as a modernizer or as a staunch Prussian traditionalist focused on reinforcing monarchical and aristocratic power. His policies of exclusion fostered a negative integration that influenced later nationalist movements, including the Nazi regime. Emperor William I passed away in 1888, succeeded by his son Frederick III, who favored a more liberal approach but reigned for only 99 days before succumbing to throat cancer. Wilhelm II, Frederick's son, ascended the throne at 29, rejected his parents' liberalism, and adopted an autocratic style. In 1890, he dismissed Chancellor Bismarck and took direct control of government affairs, adhering to personal regiment policy. Wilhelm II's aggressive foreign policy, known as Weltpolitik, aimed to elevate Germany's global power but ultimately backfired. By failing to renew the reinsurance treaty with Russia, Germany pushed Russia into an alliance with France in 1894. The Kaiser's confrontational stance and a naval arms race, led by Admiral Tirpitz, alienated Britain, escalating tensions. The First and Second Moroccan Crises, 1905 and 1911, attempted to challenge French influence but only resulted in Germany's diplomatic isolation. Economically, Germany experienced rapid industrial growth, becoming a global leader in chemical production and steel manufacturing. Its agricultural sector also modernized, making it the most efficient in Europe by 1914. Germany's colonial ambitions led to conflicts in Africa and Asia, including the suppression of uprisings in Namibia, which were labeled genocidal. The construction of the Baghdad Railway heightened tensions with Britain and Russia. Germany's assertiveness contributed to the unstable pre-war alliances, aligning with the Central Powers against the Allies, Russia, France, and Britain, in World War I. The failure of the Schlieffen Plan resulted in a prolonged stalemate on the Western Front, while the Eastern Front saw German successes. However, Germany's spring offensives in 1918 faltered, and US involvement turned the tide, leading to Germany's defeat. Strategic miscalculations and military reliance ultimately led to Germany's isolation and loss in World War I. The Treaty of Versailles in 1919 left Germany resentful, destabilizing the Weimar Republic. The Communist Party and Adolf Hitler's Nazi Party both saw power, with Hitler failing in a 1923 coup. Economic distress, hyperinflation, and the 1929 crash fueled extremist growth. By 1932, the Nazis became the largest party, and in 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor, solidifying Nazi control after the Reichstag fire and the passing of the Enabling Act. The Weimar era had cultural and scientific achievements, but after 1933, the Nazi regime suppressed dissent, using propaganda and the Gestapo. Hitler's anti-Semitic policies led to the Holocaust, and aggressive foreign actions ignited World War II in 1939. Despite early victories, Germany was defeated by 1945, leading to Hitler's suicide and Nazi surrender. Post-war, Germany was divided into East and West during the Cold War. West Germany became a democratic power, while East Germany became a Soviet-controlled communist state. The division caused mass displacement and hardship. East Germany, with a repressive regime and the Berlin Wall in 1961, collapsed in 1989, leading to reunification in 1990. In the post-reunification era, Germany played a key role in European integration and modernization. Chancellor Merkel's leadership, 2005-2021, saw major responses to the Eurozone and migrant crises. Under Chancellor Scholz, since 2021, Germany has shifted its foreign policy following Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine and remains a major global economic power.